Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Money Podcast, your source for all things money. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, today I have Venkat Avasarala on the line, and he's principal and co-founder over at Raven Multifamily. Venkat, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Adam.
All right, so excited to get into today's topic. So we're going to talk about the benefits and the importance of investing in multifamily in order to achieve financial freedom. So hot topic on the show. But before we do that, let's go a little bit further into what you're doing over at Raven Multifamily. Tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
Sure. At Raven Multifamily, we acquire, renovate, hold, and sell large multifamily properties, anything north of 150 units to all the way to 500 units per property. So Raven has acquired about 3,000 apartment units, 12 properties since 2016, and we dispositioned 3 of them, so we're holding still 9 of them. And in addition to that, we started ground-up construction. So we are in the process of building a 100,000 square feet retail space, specialty retail space in Houston. We're building a 156 ground-up construction in Princeton, Texas, and we have a few other projects in the line. So we're doing existing properties and the ground-up construction as well.
That's awesome. And I think that's a great transition. So the importance of investing in multifamily to achieve financial freedom, I mean, where do you want to start with this topic? It's a big topic.
I know. So I want to actually start this topic back in 2006. When I came to Dallas, I got married and bought a house in a suburb of Dallas. Then I was driving to school I was driving to my work one day, and as soon as I hit the gates of my workspace, I see this a bit of a commotion there, right? So there is a fire, police, and all that. Is like, oh my God, something happened here. Will they let me in? And I got in fine. But what I saw there was that there was this mass layoffs which was happening there, right? So there are people who have been working for that large Fortune 500 company for like 30 years and all that. So that was the middle of 2008, actually, not 2006. It was 2008 recession. I mean, a lot of layoffs and all those things happened, but it appeared, but the people who are getting laid off had no idea that it's going to happen to them, because some of them, I know them, and they're saying that I don't know anything else than my current job. I've been doing the same thing for the last 25, 30 years. What would I do? And I was just 28 years old then, and my heart broke, and it's like, you know what, this ain't going to happen to me. I cannot just depend on job, because, we have ups and downs just like any other country, and U.S. is not an exception. We have bust and boom times, and we cannot lose our shirt during the bust times, right? So it impressed upon me that, I got to do something to secure my financial freedom. Well, what is financial freedom? It doesn't mean to get rich, throwing wads of money everywhere. That's not what that is. Financial freedom can be achieved when you have secondary streams of income other than your paycheck, and those secondary income by itself will pay all your expenses. And the objective is, if the primary source of income, let's say your W-2 income, if it was ever to stop, it should be okay. The mortgage get paid, the groceries get bought, the utilities get paid, and yes, those vacations, right? Because we got to stay sane, so we got to take a vacation or two a year. So once you have this secondary source of or streams of income which covers all your expenses, then that is when you achieve financial independence, and that is what I want to achieve. So that is what the deep desire to be financially independent has actually set me in that path.
That's awesome. And can you talk a little bit more about, because I think sometimes where people get caught up with this is they feel like on their first deal or their first investment that this is going to be like some kind of a get rich quick or something like that. And I try to tell people, I'm like, no, when you're investing for passive in real estate, I mean, this takes time, but you're building a business. So you should expect it to take time. It doesn't mean you do one investment and all of a sudden you're there. It's going to take time to build that portfolio.
Absolutely, absolutely. It took me 10 years to achieve my financial freedom, right? So it didn't happen in a year. And the way I went about it is that both me and my wife have full-time jobs, and we aggressively saved, right? Because you need money. Yes, there are several things where you can do with little or no money, but I don't know how to do them, right? So I'm all about non-speculative real estate investments where I have to bring money to the table, right? Usually around 20 to 25% of the time. So a traditional, time-tested, long traditional way. I don't want to reinvent anything. I just want to do something which has been proven for decades now in this country, right? So me and my wife saved over 50% of our W-2 income so that we have cash to invest. And we started out investing in single-family properties, and we rented them out. We bought 20 of them. So 10 on my name, 10 on my wife's name. So Fannie has a limit of 10 Fannie loans per spouse limit. So we maxed it out, and we were bringing in about $9,000, $8,000. So on average, about $400 per property we were positive cash flowing. That's after rent minus PITI and maintenance. So it was good. I mean, we're not technically financial freedom at the time, but knowing that rain or shine, whatever happens to the economy or our jobs, we're still going to make $8,000. That was awesome feeling, right? I mean, because I most definitely can pay majority of my expenses, if not all of them. So that put me in a much easier footing. And then I wanted to do more. I looked at several different things, but again, I don't want another job. The idea is to do this passively, right? Because me and my wife already have jobs. So I looked at laundromats, I looked at convenience stations and all that, and all of them turned out to be another jobs, which I'm least interested in, right? So I went back into the real estate, into multifamily this time. So I partnered up with somebody because when you do this multifamily, you need millions of dollars to close. So that's why you need a partner. Because we syndicate these deals. What does syndication mean, right? So basically you pool money together from a bunch of investors, which is what we did. Me and Ramna, my partner, we raised $80 million from individual investors, an average check size of $100,000, right? Or $50,000. So we raised all this money, and if something were to happen to me, you need somebody else to take care of that money, right? So with that aspect, we joined forces, and we started back in 2016. So I was doing single family until 2015, all the way from 2008. So then 2016 is when I made the transition to multifamily and buying these existing apartments, B and C class apartments. These are some built in 1960s, 70s, 18s, workforce housing. So these are the tenants. My tenants usually make anywhere between, let's say, $35,000 a year household income, right? So $35,000 to maybe $70,000 income. Anything more, they'll go buy a home. So I want to be in this space and cater to them, and also being in Dallas, which has been a magnet for all these domestic migration after the Great Recession in 2008. So we catered to them. So we bought property after property, but we were pooling money from investors and buying them. And in about 3.5 years, we put together a portfolio size of 3,000 units. Somewhere in between, I forgot to even do the math because I was so busy keeping my day job with a large bank. At that time, I was working for Bank of America as an SVP there on IT side, nothing on banking, and then taking care of my properties. So I forgot to even do the math. And one day I just sat together and it's like, okay, am I really financially free right now? So it turned out I was. More than that, actually. So finally, I gave up my IT career in July of 2018. Next month, it'll be 2 years since I gave up my IT career. I enjoyed it. It's just that I didn't have the same passion I had going into that career on day one 14 years ago. It's just that you wanted to do more, have more time for family, leisure, and I am a big time into gardening, so I need time for that. I'm big time into traveling. Me and my wife travel to 30 countries. So basically, I want to be able to do what I want to do on a particular day and doesn't have to show up somewhere out of compulsion. That's how I do that's how I want to design my life, and I think I was able to do that with my investing, with my passive investing, then active investing.
Man, that's amazing. I love it, and I love bringing amazing stories like this to my audience because, number one, it reminds them that it is possible, but number two, it shows that there's some work. Like, let's not oversimplify. Like, that was not easy to build that portfolio. I can't imagine the amount of hours you were working per week when you were working full-time and otherwise, but you put in all that hard work, and I know you have a heavy schedule now because you're managing a lot of properties, but that being said, you're in control of that also, and because you went that passive income route, your income definitely has a much different complexion than it would have if you were getting simply one paycheck from one particular firm, no matter how big they are. It doesn't matter. There's still the risk there. So I love it. That being said, Venkat, if somebody's listening to this, and final question, two-part question. If somebody's listening to this and they want to learn more about Raven Multifamily, first off, what's the right type of investor and or fit that's typically a good fit to work with you and your team, number one? Number two, what's the best way for them to reach out and to connect?
Sure. I want to say this thing, right? So our investors, we have about 3,000 investors. About 1,000 of them actually wrote checks towards this $80 million, right? So our portfolio size is $300 million, and $80 million is the equity, the remaining is the loan. So we work with all walks of life, but basically, typically our investors are somebody who's busy professionals, right? Who is so busy, just doesn't have any other option to invest other than stock market. And a lot of people are spooked by stock market. It's just things happen so fast there before you blink. Yeah, there you go. It's 50% of it's gone, right? So somebody who subscribed to the idea of slow and steady wins the race, and no, we don't have to get rich tomorrow. We're happy with, let's say, 10 to 15% a year. Those are the kind of investors with those mindsets, busy professionals. They come to us and we help them out by pulling their money into our investment. So these are, think about engineers, doctors, IT professionals who are just so busy with their work. They invest with us. So that's our typical investor. And we do have few who are big check writers who write $500,000 to $1 million check writers who has generational wealth or accumulated wealth and towards the late stages of their career. So that happens, but typically it's the busy professionals who invest with us. The part two is, if you want to know more, we have a lot of information on what we have done at our website. It's Raven Multifamily. The website address is RAVEN Raven MF for multifamily.com. RAVENMF.com. So that's the website that you can go to. But if you want to get in touch with us, if you want to actively invest yourself, and if you want me to point a direction at you, feel free to, because see, this is the mindset I have, right? I didn't get here without people helping me, right? So I want to give it back to the community. And if anybody is aspiring to achieve this financial freedom, and if you want pointers on and point you in the right direction, feel free to email me at Venkat, VENKAT, at ravenmultifamily.com or AVENMULTIFAMILY.com, or call me at 281-7. I want to just give my phone number as well. My number is 281-727-9238. And the same applies for passive investors too.
Fantastic. Well, Venkat, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your story. What an awesome story, and all the great work that you're doing for your investors over at Raven Multifamily. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Money, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments on the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Venkat, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks again.